you need to be finding your safe shelter immediately. That includes a basement. If you don't have a basement, the object is to put as many walls between yourself and the outside as is possible. Protect your head above all else. I know some of you are saying, well, you're repeating yourself. Yeah, I am. You know why? Because new people are tuning in and they need that information. And a lot of times, if we hear it over and over, we're more likely to practice it, right? So at least a little good news right now, the 2 tornado warnings that we had into Whitley County and Knox County, those have been allowed to expire. We have severe thunderstorm warnings now in their place that are, these storms may spin back up into something that can produce a tornado. Right now, that is not the case. Barberville, watch that storm coming in from your west. Both of those are weakening just a little bit, and I'm hopeful that that storm into Leslie County will weaken just a little bit as well. It is the most concerning storm that I have seen so far this afternoon and evening here across Kentucky because it has some rotation with it, and it's a pretty good signature for a possible tornado that is included within this cell just to the Moselle area, right on top of Moselle here into southern parts of Leslie County. And you see that signature that we're dealing with as it makes its way from northwest to southeast. So you see these structures of these storms. This is a small thunderstorm in overall coverage. That really doesn't matter if the winds are just right within this storm in the lower levels to spin something up. Now, does this signature guarantee you a tornado? No, absolutely it does not. There isn't a radar known to man that can actually show you that a true tornado is out there. They give you an idea of what the winds are looking like within those thunderstorms. So we can see winds that are going in one direction in green, in the opposite direction in the red. This is a signature on radar that you look at and say, okay, that could be a tornado very easily. Let's hope that is not the case, because this is showing up on the radar doesn't mean it's actually producing that funnel cloud that goes from the cloud to the ground. Well, funnel cloud, when it touches ground, becomes a tornado. Funnel cloud is elevated, stays up in the cloud, at the base of the cloud, makes contact with anything. That's when it officially becomes a tornado. So that setup that we're seeing is pretty concerning into southern parts of Leslie County and very, very close now to the Harlan County line. And that's going to continue to make its way through those particular areas very, very shortly. Again, this is an area down here, and you could see by the elevation on our radar beam where it is showing the earth. You're seeing the mountains down here. Very, very atypical to have tornado threats into southeastern Kentucky. This has not been your typical setup, though, obviously, with the threat for a tornado that is rolling its way from northwest to southeast right now out of Leslie County and into northwestern parts of Harlan County. Severe thunderstorm warnings are back to the west of us into sections of McCreary County, Whitley County, Laurel County, part of Clay County, and down into Knox County. What about the rest of the region? We've got heavy rain. It's noisy, but nothing severe with this into central or northeastern parts of Kentucky. All of that action is confined to the southeastern corner of the state, where we have the potential for tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. The threat for tornadoes with this continues to be what we're really going to be focused on for the next 15, 20 minutes or so as this storm continues to zip its way toward Pine Mountain there into Harlan County. New severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, does get into southern parts of Perry County. That includes the Daisy community. That is to the south of Hazard. That is to the south of the Hal Rogers Parkway. But our storm down here continues to have that spin with it, and it is now east of 421. Latest radar view as we go inside this still has some rotation that may be just a little more on the broad side, but it's there nonetheless. Again, reds versus greens. You don't like to see those showing up on a radar in terms of the winds. It's like spinning a top, folks. You got to go opposite directions, right? Same thing here in the atmosphere. But this is more broad than what we were dealing with just a little bit ago. That doesn't mean This won't tighten up again, but on that last sweep through there, thing became just a little more broad. Now, as it encounters some of the bigger mountains down here, higher terrain, hopefully that can disrupt some of the flow. Behind this, just seeing a new tornado warning popping right back in with this, with one of those earlier cells that we had lost the tornado warning with. That would be the northeastern part of that initial storm. This is now into Bell County. This is into Clay, Harlan, Knox, and Leslie, and it will also go until 8:15. So we got both of these tornado warnings that are set to expire at 8:15. And we can look within that storm as well, give that an MRI to see exactly what we're dealing with it. And whoo, boy, did that thing jump right back up. Look at that here into Knox County. So, and this is what we mean by sometimes a storm relaxes a little bit, then all of a sudden it gets into a little more of an environment where it flexes and it tightens up that rotation. There it is. If we're getting a tornado, it is just to the northeast of Barberville here into Knox County. This is where you need to be in that storm shelter as that continues to make its way quickly across Knox County. Next up would be northern parts of Bell County with that. So we have the two tornado warnings, much smaller storm here into Leslie County, heading toward far northwestern parts of Harlan County. But looking at this into Knox County, north of Barberville, you can clearly see the change of wind direction there. And if anything, that thing just tightened right back up a little more. So we're gonna go in on this. We're gonna throw out some communities because that is a very, very, very sharp spin that all of a sudden we are dealing with this storm near the DeWitt area. Hammond, we were talking about you folks there, and in Girdler a little bit ago. But if we are getting a tornado, it is right in this particular area. So, yeah, DeWitt, Scaff, Hammond, and then back toward Girdler. This is 25E right here. This is our rotation. Clear as day, is it not? This would be winds that are coming this direction, winds that are going the opposite direction. So right in here is where we have that potential for a tornado just to the north of 25E. Girdler, DeWitt, Scaff, you need to be in your storm shelter if you have one. If you have a basement, get there. If you're in a mobile home, you want to get out of there if possible. You want to find a sturdy structure. Maybe you got a neighbor with a basement, get over there and knock on their door if you're ahead of this storm and say, hey, we need to bring the kiddos inside for a little while till this storm passes over. That goes over toward the field area into eastern parts of Knox County. That would go into northern parts of Bell County too. But goodness, you see that strong of a signature all of a sudden coming right back with this storm. That is impressive. And we're still looking at a little bit of spin on the west side of Knox County, western Knox County, with that earlier tornado warning. That storm has just a little bit of spin with it as well as it makes its way to the east. And then you've got that spin that is showing up into southern parts of Leslie County. So, man, that, I'm telling you, that's very impressive and also very concerning in terms of what we're dealing with. Impressive in terms of the overall structure of this storm. Nothing impressive about the damage it can produce, obviously. But if you're into Knox County right now, find that storm shelter immediately if you can. You need to seek that safe shelter. It is the basement, interior room on the first floor. Many of us, we don't have a basement. Where do we go? We get low, and I mean low, 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 low. Evacuate all mobile homes and protect your head above everything. And if you don't have that basement, you want to get toward the center part of the lowest floor possible. It is a hallway, maybe a stairway, but you get down low and we protect the noggin, regardless of anything else. Wherever you are seeking shelter right now into these areas that are under warnings, I want you to remember one thing, and always remember that. You need to cover your head if you're going to be in these areas that are under tornado warnings. If you're seeking shelter from a possible tornado, do me a favor and always remember one thing, and that would be to cover our heads. So, okay, now let's get back and give these systems a little closer inspection again. There is that sharp rotation here coming out of Knox County into Bell County. Bell County, you got a matter of minutes now to find that storm shelter, because that storm is ready to cross through your area. The little bit of rotation here, by the way, with that warning out of Leslie County heading toward Pine Mountain into Harlan County, that has weakened a little bit. What is not weakening is what we are dealing with back here to our west, and in particular, this part of the storm, and where we are very, very, very likely now getting in on at least a funnel cloud, if not an out-and-out tornado. That is Girdler. There's Barberville. Barberville, that is off just to our east, and it is making its way very quickly to the east and the southeast. DeWitt, the Ballman area, Highway 66, you're going to be next over toward Field. Seek that safe shelter, the basement, the lowest floor that is possible, because this likely tornado, let's call it a likely tornado at this point with the signature we've been seeing, is going to continue to make its way on into southeastern parts of Knox County. In just a matter of minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so, that's going to be crossing over into Bell County. This warning, by the way, it's got another 20 minutes or so. If you've watched me through the years, 27 years doing this here now, you know that when we show you this, we try to educate you as well in terms of educating the public on what to look for with the radar, but also giving you the information you need to know. When you see these bright colors next to one another like this, you know you're dealing with a thunderstorm that has the possibility of producing a tornado. What we're doing, this isn't, within this circle here, is not your traditional radar. That would be on the outside. This is looking inside that thunderstorm and seeing the rotation. We're seeing winds in the green, and where you see the brighter green, the lime here, a little bit of blue, winds are cranking. When you see the red and even that bright red, now you've got winds that are going this way, you've got winds that are coming this way. If we're getting in on a tornado, it is going to be right in this area from DeWitt to Hammond to Girdler and somewhere in between, the Scaff area. This is the Bell County line, Knox County, Bell County, and then southern parts of Clay County here as well. That looks to say just to the south of far southern parts of Clay County, but yeah, it's too close for comfort. So we're going to find that storm shelter right now. But if you're into northern parts of Bell County, find that safe shelter right now as that storm continues to make its way on into your area very, very quickly. Surrounding those tornado warnings, we have severe thunderstorm warnings that are out for numerous counties as well. And behind that is a likely damaging wind maker that is rolling out of Whitley City toward Williamsburg, as if Whitley County, as if you guys haven't had enough to deal with over the past little bit. But your First Alert Radar Network is getting a workout right now with all the damaging wind-producing thunderstorms across the southeast and the likelihood that we are getting a tornado here, especially to the east of Barberville into eastern parts of Knox County. And that separate tornado warning into Leslie County. That storm looks like it is weakened, and we'll look at that one here really quickly. You see up the top right-hand corner of your screen, yeah, that storm is weakened and is probably no longer capable of producing a tornado with that kind of a look with it. So what we'll do, we'll start to focus more back to the southwest into areas of Knox County. This would be along 66 here, coming north of the Pineville area. And by there, you're getting awfully close to where you get the confluence of Bell County, you get Knox County, and Clay County meeting up. And that possible tornado is right in the middle of that bullseye that we are looking at to the east of Highway 11, and it is barreling down to the east and southeast. Going to check in with the Weather Service down in Jackson to see if they have put out any information on in terms of what they're getting, any reports. No reports of tornadoes so far right now. That is certainly good news. I'm going to check in with social media, see what I can get from my at Kentucky Weather Twitter feed. No reports as of right now that I'm seeing, and that's a good thing. We hope that continues. That's exactly what we want. No reports. Doesn't mean anything necessarily. It just means that so far so good in terms of the reports. It certainly could change in a moment's notice, and especially at night when it is harder for folks to recognize exactly what we are dealing with. Now, When looking at the latest sweep here, the latest scan that goes through this, notice how this is elongated just a little more. So instead of that really tight circulation, you're seeing this elongated a little more, which means that rotation is much broader. The broader the rotation, the harder it is, theoretically, for a storm to produce a tornado. If this thing tightens up like what we were dealing with a little bit ago, then all of a sudden, yeah, you raise that alarm bell again. But this is still, it could tighten right back up with the next scan that goes through there here in a moment or so. But don't let your guard down. Certainly, that is still a big-time signature into eastern parts of Knox County. This is Asher's Fork, Clay County, just a small sliver of southern parts of Clay County included in this, and that gets into far western parts of Leslie County, southwestern parts of Leslie County, and then you've got a separate tornado warning that is way out in advance of that. The Wallens Creek area, that is into Harlan County, and then Bell County. So that storm continues to barrel its way from northwest to southeast. We want this trend that we just saw in the last sweep to continue. We don't want this thing to tighten up. We want it to become elongated, where it is more of a straight line wind producer without question. Right now, it's still way, way too early to call off the dogs on this one because the possibility that thing could be producing a tornado is still real. Knox County, Bell County. This is Highway 66. You still have, if you live along that here in the northern parts of Bell County, north of TJ, north of the Pineville area, you can still get to that safe shelter before that worst of the storm gets in there. New sweep goes by, and you can still see there's a pretty good rotation on the northern edge of this. It's still a little elongated, but way too close in terms of dealing with a possible tornado versus just some straight line winds with that. We want no part of a tight couplet, but yeah, it's still pretty good in terms of the overall structure of this storm, and it continues to make its way to the east and southeast. We'll take this out and focus on what is left of that storm that is over on top of the Harlan and Leslie County line. That thing is pretty much now fizzled out into just a wind maker and some heavy rain right now. I don't know that that is necessarily producing hail at the moment, but the storm in question continues to be right here. The trend on this, the last two sweeps, has been to make this system become a little more of an elongated look with the winds within this. Instead of that tight, it's like a figure skater. You watch, anybody that watches figure skating, I know you're thinking, where are we going with this? Think of the figure skaters. When they tighten up, they spin faster and faster and faster, right, on the ice. Same principle with the atmosphere. When the winds tighten up, they spin faster and faster and faster. If they're broader, if your arms are out, you don't spin as fast, right? Same principle in the atmosphere. So right now, this thing is a little broader than what we had 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago, this thing looked like it was a likely tornado producer. Right now, it's close, but we want to see that trend continue where that is losing that tight overall structure as it gets ready to cross out of Knox County and in the northern parts of Bell County. That's going to continue to roll its way through, and that radar sweep goes through, and now again you're seeing more of this becoming a linear as opposed to a tight couplet there where you've got those bright reds against the bright greens. That's where the atmosphere is spinning. That's where you know you've got a likely tornado. That is not the case as of now. But we're going to continue to watch this to see if it can spin right back up. We don't want a tightening trend, and we'll see if that warning gets canceled early into areas of northern parts of Harlan County and into southeastern parts of Leslie County. Certainly hope that is the case for folks who are down there. But to recap exactly what we are dealing with as of right now, you've got just 2 tornado warnings for small areas of southeastern Kentucky. These are areas where we started the day into this general vicinity with tornado warnings and a confirmed tornado into Rockcastle County. And we are ending the day with tornado warnings. And we didn't have a tornado watch. We didn't even have a severe thunderstorm watch until just a few minutes ago with these storms down here. And to be honest with you, the Storm Prediction Center didn't even have this area, parts of this area, outlooked in the threat for severe weather this afternoon or this evening. But you know what? The weather is going to do what the weather is going to do. And what it is doing right now is producing those thunderstorms across the southeast that still have some rotation with them. Now, before I even go and look inside this storm and the winds with it, I can tell you from a purely radar perspective, that storm has weakened. You're starting to see the storm around Barberville and the storm to the northeast of Barberville that has the tornado warning with it. That tornado warning, by the way, into northern parts of Harlan, southeastern Leslie has been canceled. That is now a severe thunderstorm warning. But I can see that our storms are starting to play a little game of we're going to get together here. And that may be more of just a general line of showers and thunderstorms that are weakening as they dip farther to the south and southeast. So let's hope that we continue that trend of getting these storms to weaken considerably as they get into far southeastern Kentucky. But there's the only game in town that we are still watching. And the overall structure on this is not as put together as what we had 10, 15 minutes or so ago. Yet we still got some pretty good winds that are kicking up along the border here for Bell County into Knox County, but we don't have that super tight couplet of the reds and the greens right up against one another where you know you've got some serious spin going on. There's rotation with this still, no doubt about that, but it is much, much broader here to the northeast of DeWitt, very, very close to the Clay County line. This is going to pass well to the north of Pineville, so that's at least a good thing for the more highly populated area of Pineville. But if you're in this path, it doesn't matter, you're populated, right? So we're taking care of everybody with this. But still, some of the more rural area of northern parts of Bell County, we got to keep that eye out for the possibility that this storm can still spin up a quick tornado or two. Listen, as soon as we have no tornado warnings in our region, we'll get you back to programming. I get it. You guys want to see some TV? Yep. But our number one job is to protect people and give them potentially life-saving information, and that's what we are going to continue to do. So the only warnings still are across southeastern Kentucky. Bluegrass region, we have the threat for some flooding into Stoner Creek into Paris, the Licking River at Blue Lick Springs, and also over into Franklin County, where it is Elkhorn Creek that has some high water concerns. And then you've got flood warnings into northeastern Kentucky and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 severe thunderstorm warnings southeastern Kentucky in that small little corridor of a tornado warning that is left with this storm into southeastern Kentucky. That is what we're dealing with. Getting on reports from the fire department down there at Barberville of some big hail making its way through there. But so far, if that's the only game in town that we get in terms of severe weather, we'll count that as a W and go about our day. Because a little hail, quarter size showing up into southeastern Kentucky, we can handle that. We don't want to be dealing with anything else in terms of any wind damage, and so far so good. No reports of that. Hail across southeastern Kentucky has been one of the main issues that we've been getting reports of so far. No reports of tornadoes with this, no reports of funnel clouds. We will see what the National Weather Service in Jackson does. I suspect they're going to let this expire and go with a severe thunderstorm warning as the storm continues to make its way to the southeast and continues to weaken considerably in terms of the overall structure with this storm. So northern parts of Bell County, that storm is about to get on into your area now, and it has now moved into northern parts of Bell County. Pineville, this is off to our north. This is for folks who are living right on top of Highway 66 down here, which is very close to the Knox County line. And you can see that little bit of rotation, but it is broad and it is no longer as strong as what we had 10, 15 minutes or so ago. So that is at least some good news with that. We'll stay on the air until there is no longer a threat for a tornado with any of these storms, and I suspect that threat will go by the wayside coming up here very shortly as the expiration time on that severe thunderstorm warning is set for 8:15. By the way, that thunderstorm line that made its way out of Monticello toward Whitley City and Williamsburg right now has weakened as well. So we're into a time of the day when these storms should be weakening a little bit, and they're trying to do just that. And that is a trend we hope continues across the southeastern corner of Kentucky. But to look back on our day and to think that we started the day with flooding, with tornado warnings, with even a confirmed tornado into Rockcastle County, another confirmed tornado warning or tornado this morning over into Hart County, which is south of E-Town on 65, and now we're ending the day with a round of severe weather and even a possible tornado or two across the southeast, is phenomenal when you consider that today is the 6th day of February. And just a few short weeks ago, we were encased in nothing but snow and ice for almost 4 consecutive weeks. And now we're dealing with severe weather, flooding rains. You got another threat for some high water concerns on Saturday, and it is the setup next week. So while we have your attention, starting Monday night through next weekend, an extended period of heavy rain, snow, and even some ice are all possible across Kentucky. I could see next week dealing with some river flooding and some high water issues. We could also see some snow and ice potential setting up shop with that as well as we go into next week. If you're ready to raise the white flag and wave it to Old Man Winter and Mother Nature, you know what, folks? I'm kind of with you on that one. Host of severe thunderstorm warnings. A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued downstream of that. That includes Harlan, and I suspect, or as we suspected, that is going to be the end of that tornado warning coming up as it expires here in a little more than 3 minutes. And as soon as that expires and we no longer have an active tornado warning, I promise you, we're going to get you right back to your particular to what your programming is here on CBS and WKYT. And, of course, we'll have team coverage coming up tonight, 10 o'clock over on the CW Lexington and 11 o'clock on WKYT. And hopefully the only things we're going to have for you then would be damage from the earlier thunderstorms from last night and early this morning. I haven't had any reports of any damage from these storms across the southeastern part of Kentucky as of right now. And here's hoping that is a trend that continues. The storms are weakening. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And you're seeing the overall structure of even that possible tornadic storm beginning to become more linear. That storm that prompted the tornado warning near or south of Heightened, Leslie County, over toward Cumberland and Pine Mountain, that thing weakened considerably, and you're seeing the storm to the north of Pineville, to the north of the TJ area, doing the same. I guarantee you, though, it's got some pretty good winds rolling into northern parts of Bell County, and that'll make a beeline toward Harlan. So what we're dealing with for the rest of the region, we want to get these showers and thunderstorms out of here. We're just about to do that. If you're watching us right now in central Kentucky, you're thinking, what is all the fuss? It is just some rain out there. Well, that's true for central Kentucky. It's not true for southern and southeastern Kentucky. We are their home station as well, so we take care of them just like we're right there in their community as well, because we are all across central and eastern Kentucky. So the showers and thunderstorms, once this exits southeastern Kentucky, everything begins to calm down. To make matters a little worse, there's a new flash flood warning that is just now coming out here into a couple of counties into southeastern Kentucky. That is Leslie and Perry until 11:15. So that is a flash flood warning that is going to go until 11:15. And that's why you were hearing me earlier, if you were watching on WKYT, I said we really need a flood watch across the south and southeast this evening, because these storms are going to be packing a ton of heavy rain, and right now it doesn't take much to cause renewed high water concerns. So we take the radar off there because you want to see the current warnings and then your programming coming up here as soon as this tornado warning expires in just a matter of minutes. There you go. Everything in green, flood or flash flood warnings. Everything in yellow, severe thunderstorm warnings. All of that confined to the southeast, and that small little area of red in the northern parts of Bell County, where we continue with a tornado warning for exactly 1 more minute. We've been watching a supercell thunderstorm, by the way. If you got some friends and family Down between Knoxville and Nashville, that has been a supercell thunderstorm that has prompted a tornado warning for several different counties now, north of I-40 into northern parts of Tennessee. That is not going to impact the weather here in Kentucky. As a matter of fact, that is going to be going away from us, and we say good riddance to all these showers and storms with a calmer day tomorrow. So the broader view showing that once we get rid of those thunderstorms into southeastern Kentucky over the next half hour to an hour or so, things are going to be calming down dramatically. That is a calmer trend that takes you into Friday. Saturday, we'll see some more showers and thunderstorms. I don't think they're going to have the severity as to the storms we've had today. I think they will pack a heavy rain punch. And then early next week, we're going to get back into the thick of things with the possibility of flooding rains, winter weather, snow, ice, all a possibility starting Monday night into Tuesday, all going to be about the tracks of those lows. All right, tornado warning is now expired into southeastern Kentucky. If we get another tornado warning, here's hoping that is not the case. We'll be back with you. Otherwise, we'll see you on the CW at 10 and WKYT at 11.